What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 31 Days of Horror. I am your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Alrighty, yeah, 31 Days of Horror Volume 8, Day 17, coming at you live and direct. Alright, so we're going to take it from Hong Kong and go over, actually back to Italy. Actually, it's an Italian-Austrian production. I don't even know where the Austrian part comes in this. I couldn't find any information on it. I'm assuming maybe it was a production company out of Austria, but I'm pretty sure this film was done by an Italian director and also shot in Italy, so I don't know. But anyways, this is a film from 1961, released by Severin Films. It's actually a film that I was going to do on the 31 Days of Horror last year. And of course, I did not do the 31 days last year, but I had actually watched it around that time. So this is actually a rewatch for me. I just really wanted to revisit this one because I couldn't quite remember it. And I remember somebody prior to last year actually wanted me to do this film. So whoever that was, this one's for you. So yeah, so a film from 1961, and it is called Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory. This is another film I had actually heard of, never saw before up until, last year or whatever. But, thanks to the fine folks over at Severin Films for putting this one out, because I don't think this one ever had this cut of the film released, which is, of course, the original uncut version, which, after watching the film a couple times, I'm not 100% sure what they actually did cut out of the movie, but who knows? Censorship is a motherfucker, right? So anyways, the quick little synopsis on this movie basically follows our main character. He's a kind of an ex-doctor. This guy arrives at a all-girls school. He's kind of got a tainted history. He was once a doctor. He's no longer able to practice being a doctor. So he takes a job as a teacher at this all-girls school. Meanwhile, as soon as he arrives there, a girl is brutally murdered. They kind of chalk it up to her being attacked by wolves in the forest and stuff like that. So in steps our main character by the name Priscilla. She knows the girl Mary that was killed, and she's like, no, I don't think that she was killed by werewolves. I think that she was killed by somebody else or something else, because she had found some letters that were kind of incriminating to somebody, and Mary may have been actually blackmailing this person. So she feels like it's not coincidental that she was assassinated. I like how they use that word, assassinated. And she doesn't think it has anything to do with the werewolf and stuff like that. So anyways, a couple more people end up dying, and they keep chalking it up to being, attacks by wolves or something like that. So now everyone's kind of getting curious about it. So she gets together with the teacher, aka the doctor, and they start to investigate what's really going on around this girl's dormitory. So I'll leave the synopsis there. Now my thoughts on this one. This is a great movie, man. I think it's really fun. This is actually one of those films where you watch it and you go, it's interesting because it's 1961. It has that whole creature feature angle of werewolves, right? But it also has very early elements of being a giallo. Now, this one predates Mario Bava's The Girl Who Knew Too Much, which came out in 1963, and a lot of people consider that to be the first giallo film. This one has a lot of giallo DNA. It's got like a POV killer or assailant wearing black gloves and stuff. It's got that whole investigative angle and stuff like that. And it's even kind of shot like a giallo. It plays out like a giallo. There's that huge mystery. There's a bunch of red herrings and stuff like that. It's got all those kind of early tropes of horror filmmaking and stuff like that. It's got all these elements, but I wouldn't consider this one to be a giallo. It's just kind of a mashup of genres that, I don't think I've ever heard anyone mention this one in a giallo talk or perspective, but it does definitely have those elements, which makes it kind of unique. Like I said, it's a creature feature / kind of giallo / mystery. But yeah, it's an interesting film because on the outside looking in, it all takes place at a girl's dormitory, like your all-girls school. And, early 60s Italian films generally weren't the most sleazy things. It's not like what they became later on in giallo. In giallos, they became very, very uber sleazy and stuff like that. But this one has those early tropes of being super sleazy. It's kind of crazy. It has this highly sexualized undertones to the film with what's going on between teacher and students and stuff like that. It's shot kind of sleazy. There's moments where just the camera, the way it photographs the girls, and things like that. It's just really interesting how sleazy it actually really is at times, and you're just like, damn, it's subtle, but it's there. It also deals with school corruption and corruption and things like that. So there's a lot of things that are actually going on in this one. But I was taken back by rewatching this one, going, wow, this one, you know, it has that super sexualized, like highly sexualized kind of undertones to the film. And a lot of it has to do with like characters' reactions to the girls and stuff like that. You know, certain characters will look at them and the way they shoot it, and they're just like, they're looking up and down, and they're obviously supposed to be teenage girls, so it's, you know, it's just wrong. But the thing I like about this movie is that it plays out like very tropey. You know, it's got those red herrings. It's got those typical type characters where you think that, like, you know, they're kind of a weird looking character, ugly, whatever, and or not that attractive, I shouldn't say ugly, but whatever. But they're the type of people you think that would be doing these things. It just totally resonates to those red herrings and stuff. Actually, one of the biggest red herrings in the film is actually played by Luciano Pisani, who's like in every fucking Italian movie I swear that I watch, because if you look at my letterbox, he's like one of my most watched Italian actors, and people are like, who? He's literally in everything. He's literally in everything, but he has that weird kind of look to him. In a sense, I used to call him like the Italian, oh man, what was the guy's name? I used to call, I can't remember anyways, but he looks like, oh yeah, actually kind of reminds me of Peter Lorre, actually, now that I think about it. But he's not, but he's one of those guys that shows up in all the genre films, you know, the Polichesi films, giallos, horror films, whatever. But yeah, he's a big part in the film too, and stuff like that. But yeah, this is a really fun one, man. It's got this mystery angle to it. I think what really kind of brings this one down a little bit for myself is that they do show the creature, the werewolf creature, maybe about the midpoint in the film, and due to the lack of really good makeup effects and stuff, you can kind of tell who's under that makeup, which I think is kind of a bummer in a sense, because there is a really good mystery of what's going on. There's a lot of subplots. Like I said, you know, there's a teacher that's having a relationship with a student, and there's a wife that may have saw something they shouldn't have, and she was killed. And there's all these different kind of angles that everything's coming at in the film, and I think that was kind of the downer to the reveal in the film, which is almost kind of subtle in itself. Like, you've got this huge mystery, and then it cuts to this part, and you're just like, that's the reveal? So that whole thing is kind of a bummer, but the whole ride there is pretty good. It's definitely a slower paced moving film. It does feel like a giallo mixed with a creature feature, if that makes any sense, because you just don't get a lot of those kind of those matches of genres together, but it's definitely very prevalent here. Yeah, so our main character, Priscilla, was actually married to Roman Polanski during the time this movie was made in 1961. I think they were married from 59 to like 62 or 63, like 2 or 3 years. So this is pre-Sharon Tate kind of stuff. So I thought that was really interesting. And I actually just looked her up. She actually died in like the mid-90s, super young, like 45, from a brain hemorrhage. And I was like, damn, that's crazy to hear, because it's just so sad. But all in all, man, I mean, this is kind of a tougher one to talk about because you don't want to give certain things away. Like I said, there's a decent mystery here. I think it could have been done a little bit better. I really there's one portion in the film I thought was really cool, because when we get introduced to our main character, the doctor, I can't remember the actor's name, but he was a doctor that worked at like a sanitarium kind of thing. Anyways, he talks about how he was basically doing the study on this girl who had murdered somebody, and she had no recollection of it. But then when the full moon came around, she would change and stuff. And he doesn't really call her a lichen. Like, he doesn't mention werewolf. He doesn't really, but he's like, something is wrong with this kind of girl. And I thought that was really interesting, because in 1961, you didn't really hear of too much female werewolf talk. I know later on we get ginger snaps, we get those type of films with female werewolves and stuff, but it wasn't a common thing in these days. All the werewolf films I can think of up to this point were basically male dominant werewolves and stuff. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing that they explore but didn't explore. It just kind of puts it in perspective of him within the narrative of the whole werewolf aspect of the film. So I thought that was really cool. The score is beautiful in the film. This is shot beautifully. It looks really good. This is a perfect late night watch. You watch this late at night. It's got that beautiful, swift black and white photography. The score is very daunting and haunting. It's shot very atmospheric, you know, in kind of like one location around a dormitory in the woods and stuff. So it doesn't have like a huge scale, but it feels very homey. It's nice. So, and the acting's good. You know, I think, like I said, the biggest fault is kind of the reveal and just the makeup on the werewolf. But I will say the werewolf looks absolutely hilarious. I think it's actually known for having, I think it might even say on here something about, it's got one of those weird, unforgettable werewolf looks. It just looks so weird, like it's hard to explain. So but yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I'm gonna give this one still about a 7 out of 10. I think it's a pretty solid watch from 1961. So, but definitely unique. Like I said, it's got that whole creature feature, werewolf thing going on with the giallo aspects. It's very unique. So, Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory, I highly recommend this one. Pretty cool stuff. So, that is going to conclude day 17. I'm going to get water there before I start hacking up a lung. So, anyways, guys, before I start doing that, I'm going to get out of here. But, yeah, check that one out from Severin. Beautiful release. Got some features on there and stuff. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, that's day 17. I'll check you guys tomorrow on day 18. And as usual, deuces.